Hi, Tristan with Rouse49. Let's talk about 10 gigabit networking and why we use it. First, I'd like to thank the sponsor of this video, EasyTech IT Solutions. They are a great local choice for small business IT needs. They have over 10 years of experience and can handle all your small business IT needs. Check them out in the description below to find out more. Before we go into 10 gigabit networking, let's discuss the other speeds typically used for LAN events. Let's start off with 100 megabit Ethernet. This is what a lot of groups still sometimes use for its low cost of cable and equipment. 1 gigabit equipment can cost double that of what 100 megabit equipment does. When you're buying 10 to 20 switches, that can add up quick. You can also argue that if you have a lot of people connecting to the internet, that a single person will not have enough bandwidth to saturate your internet connection. Kind of like lazy quality of service, where you limit each person to a certain amount of bandwidth. Where the real drawbacks are when someone wants to download a game and not a lot of people are utilizing the internet. The max amount of data you can transfer at a time is 100 megabits or 10 megabytes at a time. This would also apply for games clients that support peer-to-peer downloading. Sometimes we also have to think about uplinks, which are the connection from one switch to either another switch closer to the router or the router itself. Some switches will have a majority of their ports being a single speed and a few higher speed ports meant for moving multiple ports worth of lower speed traffic to equipment that can handle that amount of bandwidth. This is especially good for if your internet is higher than 100 megabit. An easier way to think about it is imagine that you have 10 people worth of full speed data. It could all fit over 1 gigabit uplink. If you have 500 megabits, that would mean 5 people could connect to the internet at 100 megabit per second. Equipment that support higher speed uplinks are usually more expensive than switches that have all their ports a single speed. When moving towards 1 gigabit per second, you start to alleviate some of those issues, and for small networks is more than enough internal bandwidth to not have these types of issues. Since gigabit networking has been around for a very long time, the equipment is not prohibitively expensive anymore, and nearly all home routers come with gigabit ports. Most of the time, internet connection is the slowest link in your network. If a gigabit can satisfy most bandwidth needs, then you may be asking yourself, then why do we have 10 gigabit uplinks in our network? Why not save the money and stick with gigabit? You have a good point, astute YouTuber. We spend a lot of money on equipment that support 10 gigabit per second, and even bought a switch that has 16 10 gigabit ports. From the beginning, we wanted to host a solid network, no matter how many people we had connecting, and we wanted to do this with as little impact to performance as possible. Each computer connects to one of our switches at about 1 gigabit per second, which most of the time will then get connected to one of our 10 gigabit switches via 10 gigabit fiber. From there, there is a 10 gigabit cable that connects to our router for routing to the internet. Some of you, networking folk, may question that and ask, if the highest internet we can get right now is 1 gigabit per second, then aren't you wasting all that bandwidth? Good question. Our router supports multiple internet connections in a load balancing and failover mode. So, on a good day, our router can support 4 gigabit internet. Another question from the networking people out there, couldn't you group multiple 1 gigabit ports together? We could, but we'd need 10 ports to make a single 10 gigabit port, where 4 ports equal just of our internet. That would also mean 4 ports per switch that everyone connects to, and it adds up and wastes a lot of ports. I know this video has been a lot of math, and you're doing great. We also implemented a local game cache, which saves copies of games that people download or updates, so that the next time it is requested, you don't have to reach all the way out to the internet. You can just get it from our local cache, and it saves a lot of bandwidth. We wanted as many people to be able to request updates and games at the same time as possible, so we have it connected by a 10 gigabit card and can expand that in the future if needed. For some more math, up to 10 people can download a game from our cache before having to slow down. However, what we've seen is that the spinning disks and processor speeds of people's gaming computers have been the slowest chain in the link. The more people who can connect to our server at very fast speeds means that you can get your games and updates faster, and people gaming have more than enough bandwidth to play their games with as little latency as possible. And that also includes if we have over 100 people or more. That is why we implement 10 gigabit networking at our LAN parties and at our venue. We are actually looking into upgrading our caching computer with NVMe drives and multiple 10 gigabit connections, so that we can deliver updates even faster to more people for larger events. Be sure to check back for that video. We cannot hit every networking choice, however. We may go into that in another video to explain 2.5 and 5 gigabit networking and some other concepts that we didn't explain here. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and make sure you subscribe to our channel. Do you use 10 gigabit networking at home? Why do you use it? Leave that comment below to let us know. And we'll see you next time.